A to the K WrestleTalk, which you can go subscribe on the YouTube channel. You can go to their Spotify, etc. Listen to the podcast. Make sure you to subscribe. Enjoy. I mean, let's be honest. They just got a shout out from me, so they must be somewhat decent. I know they're somewhat smart because they could have got a shout out from someone else like Marco Stunt, but instead they got it from me, and I am a god, a Spanish god. So these guys are awesome in my book. So far, I've actually never listened to them, but maybe I'll go check them out soon. Maybe. I'm trying to clean my place right now, but regardless, this is a bunch of useless information. Why am I telling you that? Regardless, make sure to subscribe, and please put this entire shout out in because I would love to hear where I'm talking about cleaning my place.
Right, so would you like to cover Dynamite, Carl? Going over to our Dynamite correspondent in the field, it's Carl.
It is Le Champion, Lee Sore Throaty on, so this week, Dynamite kicked off with Jake Roberts and Lance Archer. So Archer beat down some guy on his way to the ring. Seems to be quite a common thread for him at the minute. He can have just fucking walk to the ring on his own. He always has to twat someone on the way, which is different, I suppose. Yeah. But so Jake gets on the mic. Another good promo from him. He basically says he apologized to Brandy once she kisses his ass. Old school.
I mean, whatever you're into, Jake.
Well, you know, the guy's nasty. But yeah, he goes on to pretty much just slate women in general until Cody shows up in his big fucking truck. Definitely not an advertisement for Ford because they never do that.
No. Well,
yeah,
they wouldn't do a thing like that.
Truck, and then
come out drinking a Coke.
Then he basically goes on to kind of wail on Archer for a bit before Archer then kind of turns it back around to go back and forth until eventually Jake pulls Archer away. So I thought it was a nice little way to kick off the show, a bit of action, and it kind of builds up the finals for the TNT title tournament. So nice little start.
Yeah, totally agree. I don't think there's ever really a bad Jake promo. So far in AEW, in his AEW run anyway, he's been gold for the most. I think we both sort of had our doubts about Archer in the beginning with that weird video package he done with his backyard wrestling and stuff. But I don't know. I think they actually are proving to build him quite well. I'm very much looking forward to the match between him and Cody. So it is doing the job.
Well, do you know what? I'm gonna hold my hands up here around Lance Archer because we like to think of me as some sort of fountain of knowledge of wrestling, but I completely fucking missed the fact that I completely knew who this guy was. So prior to him showing up in AEW, not only was he in TNA as Lance Hoyt, who I fully knew and was aware of, he was in ECW under the WWE umbrella as Vance Archer, who I also knew and watched several times. So, I was trying to think back to I've heard this guy's pretty good from Japan, and I saw the guy several times. So, stupidly of me, just didn't make the connection. But yeah, this guy is a lot closer to home than I ever realized. But yeah, it's one of them. I think we were, and it still remains. I don't think I'm going to change my opinion. I don't think you will as well. Like the whole fucking Murder Hawk monster and stuff like that. I feel like they tried a bit too hard with him, and even things like where he's twatting someone on the way to the ring and things like just a bit too much. I feel like the guy is big enough and skilled enough for a big man that you don't need to kind of do all these things. But at the same time, he's definitely straight into the main event scene. He's straight up against Cody, and he's got a really good start in the business. So I'm interested to see where it goes for him. Yeah,
no, I'm definitely more intrigued than I was. And like you say, they might have been a bit too on top. I don't think it was unfair to say in the beginning, but I think it is I'm more hyped behind him now than I said I was before in previous weeks. And I look forward to it.
Yep, same. So then, good way to kick off the show. We then followed up with Jurassic Express versus Best Friends. And again, pretty decent match from these guys. Best Friends controlled most of it. Orange Cassidy made me laugh. He tried, there was one point in the match where he kind of tried to hype them up in the least hypey way possible. But for Orange Cassidy, it's been a big deal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you don't want to see him at 1%.
Oh yeah, 100%. But yeah, so he he kind of had a little bit of a spot in the middle of that, which I thought was really good. But he was stood on the stage, kind of trying to hype them up a little bit, and then just out of fucking nowhere, Ray Phoenix comes with a fucking like Liu Kang flying kick to his head.
How awesome was that kick?
It was just out of nowhere. I
watched that
shit.
back over and over. It was out of nowhere, and it looked brutal. It was boss.
It was just legit as fuck, wasn't it? But then, that all happens, and then while those shenanigans are going on, MJF hops the barricade and rams barricade. And what he does, mate, is he rams Jungle Boy into the fucking ring post, mate.
He fucking knocks him out, innit?
So I think that made perfect sense as well. So obviously we found out last week that he was going to be having a match with Jungle Boy at Double or Nothing. So
trying to get some damage.
Perfect sense for him to get in there and pull his kind of heel tactics early on. But that was enough to kind of give Best Friends the win. Then after the match, Wardlow smashes Marco Stunt. Fucking poor Marco Stunt, man.
He's just there to get launched by big guys.
Jesus, what a couple of weeks for him. He's just been obliterated by every big fucker they've got. Fair play to the guy. But yeah, Jesus. But right, what I thought was fantastic about this was after Wardlow did that, Luchasaurus kind of comes over to his aid, and just the square off between Luchasaurus and Wardlow, I was digging it, man. Like that is
how good is it though that that's all you need?
I want to see.
That's all you need. Just them two staring each other down, and straight away you're like, yes, I'm here for this. I want this match.
That was it. There was no word, no fucking like shitty promos. Just them two big bastards looking at each other in the face, and I was like, oh shit, I want this to kick off.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm with you on that. I'd definitely like to see that match. I don't know if they're. I don't think it's going to happen at Double or Nothing, is it? Because I think Luchasaurus is involved in something else. I think he's actually already on the card, isn't he? But I'd definitely look forward to seeing that match if they book it at some point. Yeah,
I think Luchasaurus might be in the ladder match.
Possibly. I didn't want to commit. If I'm honest with you, Carl, I was going to say ladder match, and I was like, no, I don't want to look stupid. So I was like,
I'll back off for us.
No, I think you're probably right. To be honest, I just had a moment of doubt in my head. I know he's on the card, and that's as much as I was going to commit. But I think you're right. I was leaning towards the ladder match myself. Yeah,
well, that's it. I hope this is kind of the first of many kind of altercations between the two, and we start to like build it up and get to a point where like we're desperate to see this kind of match, because Wardlow's looked like a fucking monster for a while now, and I think Luchasaurus was my kind of pick for the breakout star. So I think those two getting together at some point this year would be.
And what's great to see is you have the likes of Tony Khan, who clearly listens to our podcast, and he must have listened to our Seg 3, in which you were actually specifically talking about Luchasaurus as someone who deserves a decent push. And I think you specifically mentioned the lack of sort of big guys in AEW. So it's nice to see that they've taken note of what you said. I think it's really good.
Well, that's it. I mean, don't want to brag, but obviously, both of us have got fantastic minds to the business, and Tony obviously knows what he's doing by listening to us and taking our advice. So
and as we know, he clearly listens to us. He's got an investment in both football. I'm going to call it football for the American fans, soccer, but football and wrestling. So he's your type of guy, Carl.
Well, that's it. And,
he owns the wrong football team, but let's not get into that.
I mean, he does, but I'm happy to support Fulham as a second team. I mean, they're no Everton, but if he wants to invest in Everton at some point down the line, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So slight digression, but I thought that was a pretty decent match. We then get to see broody old Moxley arriving at the arena. He's angry. Oh, Anthony's angry.
What's the upset?
So angry, in fact, he slaps the camera out of the way as they're trying to film him, and the guy's like, "Ooh, he's angry. Maybe we need some security because he's angry."
Earlier in the night, Lance Archer knocked a guy out on the way to the ring, but Moxley's a bit angry.
Oh yeah, he slightly marginally like ushered the camera away from his gaze. So fucking hell, need to watch that guy. He's unhinged.
This is where I will always promise anyone who listens that we will be fair. We both love AEW. We're both marks for AEW at the moment, especially, and they are doing things incredibly well. But this is where things are stupidly imbalanced, because when you're building up other heels and they're doing stuff that is worse, it makes Moxley look fucking stupid when we're going, oh, he's angry. Yeah, it's almost as bad as WWE going, oh, he's a lunatic.
I think it's well documented, my thoughts on Mox, so it's probably not worth going into that, but I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head again with the way you said that how is it crazy for Moxley to push a camera out the way, but you've got people literally like murdering like backstage people, and it's cool. Like,
well, even your OGs. I mean, last week we had Jake the Snake place his snake onto an unconscious woman, which isn't as like, that wasn't a euphemism, it was an actual snake, but he placed his snake on an unconscious woman, which is more Healy than anything Moxley's done. You know, why? Yeah, let's give him some space, guys. Wouldn't want him to cause a kerfuffle.
Exactly. So I don't know. I think just poor booking for the guy, maybe, or maybe it's poor execution. I'm not really sure, but didn't really deliver. That being said, the next match, which was a women's fatal 4-way, I thought actually really did. So we got to see Penelope Ford take on Chris Statlander, take on Britt Baker, and Hikaru Shida. And it was a really decent match, to be fair. I've said before, I think we both agreed that, you know, the depth of the women's roster in AEW is quite a far ways away from that of WWE. You know,
yeah,
WWE has been a while now.
You cannot deny it. I don't care how much of a fan you want to be of AEW, and I do prefer Dynamite over any of the other weekly shows at the moment. But I do watch and enjoy them all. And you cannot deny that the women's division of AEW is not at that level yet. There is some really good talent there, and we both cited Penelope Ford as one of them, she's got so much potential. But the roster itself's not very fleshed out, and it's not really there yet. Totally agree.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one, because that being said, I think, you know, in terms of like technically gifted athletes of the women in AEW, definitely not. But what they have done a good job of is just giving each of them like individual characters. So obviously, like Penelope Ford is like, you know, this kind of, she's really in charge of Kip, but like she's Kip's valet, but really she's a star and she knows he's a star, and like that's quite a good little character. Chris Statlander's an alien for some reason. Okay, it's not the best, but okay, it's different. Britt Baker's got a fantastic character. And like even
also now that she's a proper heel.
Well, exactly. And then even like Hikaru Shida, where, you know, character work wise, she isn't incredible, but, you know, technically she's one of the best in the division that they've got. So, you know, you look at it.
It's not really a character per se, but she's like, she adds that little bit of hardcore element, doesn't she? Because she's into the old kendo stick.
Yeah.
Not a fully fleshed out character by any means, but there's bits there, isn't it, that go, okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So I think, you know, everything that we're saying, you know, isn't a massive slight on the division. You know, it is difficult to keep up with WWE's at the minute because they've spent so much time kind of investing in that.
Literally their last few years, WWE has been pushing the women's evolution, so you can't really fault them. They've done a stellar job. They've not all been winners, but WWE have done a stellar job pushing the women's evolution, as it were. Not to coin their phrase, but so, you know, it's a tough one. It is a tough one to go against. Probably harder to go against than the rest of WWE in terms of competition. I do agree with you. This was a really good match.
Exactly.
The only thing, and I don't think it's fair to call the whole match on one thing, but there was that horrendous botch where was it Britt or Penelope were sort of basically just stood in the middle of the ring, not knowing what to do, waiting for the was it like some sort of neck breaker or whatever, and you just saw that weird sort of dead moment where I don't know who wasn't actually in the right place, whether it was actually Britt or Penelope, but it was just that awkward moment when they weren't there and nobody really knew what to do. And it was noticed. There was that little bit of sort of just downtime, I guess, where you're like, is something meant to be happening? But I don't want to dog the entire match because of that one botch, but that was a very noticeable botch.
Yeah, and I think it is things like that. Like, we do see this quite a bit. It's just, they seem, because they are so green, like, they seem less like in gear. I think like there's a couple of times now where we've seen things where they're kind of waiting for something to happen, or they don't really know what's coming next, and they're, you know, it can feel a bit clunky. But, you know, that being said, other than kind of the one or two little things that stood out in this match, you know, generally I thought it was pretty good. Maybe went on a little bit too long, and obviously there was the one or two little botches that you've mentioned there already. But
I think it's funny you say that, because I do agree with you that it might have gone on a bit too long, but it's one reason I want to give them a bit of credit as well, because it wasn't like it was a quick match and they fucked it up. You know, there was quite a long match, and you can forgive the botch. They still need to get there, don't they? But you can forgive the botch for a match that went on as long as it did, basically. But I think you're right. It probably ran a bit.
Their division, they don't have, like, because they've only got a small division, they've never really had like loads of like 4-ways or like, you know, anything like that. So it is like probably like newish territory for them as well. Like, I don't want to do them like a disservice because obviously they've spent significant time on the indies and they're not like brand new to it or anything like that. But just to kind of get there, feel each other out and get familiar with each other. Like, you look at the women on top in WWE at the minute, they've literally been fighting the same women for years to the point where they can kind of, telegraph almost what they're going to do next. Whereas you're going to have things like this. But, for what it was, I thought it was really good. And, Shida again picks up the win, extending her streak now by another week. I'm not really sure what her streak is, but she's undefeated in quite some time now. So,
I don't think I've not seen her take a loss in a while now.
Yeah, so, they were definitely alluding with this win that, there's Nyla kind of lies in wait for her at some point down the road. Again, I thought Penelope Ford stood out in this match. I think she's got a really big future. Britt Baker, I don't know, I thought was okay. I still feel like they haven't capitalized on, the thing from a couple of weeks ago where they just made her look like a badass when she was bleeding and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, I feel like she's kind of, that was her time to take off and she's kind of retracted a bit. Like, by no means I think, she's done with or anything, but I don't know. I feel like
I think sadly she had that breakout moment at a difficult time for the country, so it's hard it was hard to break out as well. But hopefully it's not the last of it. But I think you're right. I think the momentum from that particular moment has certainly dropped now. And slightly unrelated, but I'll call it now. I honestly think we won't see. How do I put it? I think we'll only ever see a green Brit in AEW. I think by the time that she's like a veteran and it really sort of knows what she's doing, she'll have probably gone over to WWE. I'm going to call it now.
Interesting.
I think the biggest Brit will be WWE. I think she's going to end up there, and that'll be when she's like a real star. And not because of it, no slight to AEW, I just think she'll have honed the skills there and has subsequently buggered off.
Interesting.
All speculative, but I just wanted to throw it out there.
Hopefully we can look back if that happens to this particular podcast and be like, bloody hell.
I'll find the recording. I'll put this little clip out and I'll go, I fucking told you.
Yeah. I would love to see you in full on like heel persona, like, I fucking told you so. You didn't listen to me. I proved you wrong. Yeah, can't wait.
Exactly. I'm in heel persona, Carl. I told you. That chair's coming for you, man.
Still need to do that. But then, so good match. And then following that, we had a Suge D promo, or as we may now know him as Pineapple Pete.
Good old Pineapple Pete.
But, it was a short and sweet promo basically saying that, Jericho's been called him Pineapple Pete, but life has been sweet. So tonight it'll be two. Those two will be one-on-one. I don't know what it was. It wasn't the best promo. Something like that.
Here's the thing for me. This is the type of thing that legends should be doing, and this is where I think, again, apologies to digress, but this is where people always moan when they try and defend WWE against AEW. They always say, well, Jericho is sort of an older wrestler and he's like top dog in AEW, so why has everyone got a problem with Goldberg or whichever? This is why, because Jericho's here now putting over somebody. I didn't give a shit about who Pineapple Pete was, right? But now I'm interested. Jericho's put him over, and I again, we know the match is coming, and I'm looking forward to it. And he's giving new stars momentum, and that's exactly what he should be doing.
Yeah, I think it's crazy, really, to take someone who effectively is enhancement talent, who was there to help AEW in a time of crisis when they couldn't get all the stars in, to just have a couple of matches, and for Jericho to kind of then end up facing him and kind of putting him over as this new character and stuff like that. As you said, it's like a real difference between like the type of legends that you see. You've got people who've still got egos in this business, then you've got the likes of Jericho who's here, he knows his place, and it's, don't get me wrong, he's still a fantastic worker and he's still the best in the biz, but at the same time he knows that he's here to put other people over and make new stars, and I feel like he does that consistently. Yeah,
you'd never get Jericho doing something as horrendous as going, no, I'm not going to take the loss because it wouldn't be in keeping with my character. And I'm not naming any names there, and I could name a few. Goldberg, Hogan, Ric Flair. But Jericho wouldn't do that. He does what's best for the business. And again, we regularly, and I promise you guys, right, and it's not going to be this week, but I promise you, at some point, we're just going to sit down and we're going to talk about Jericho, because then we can get it out of our system, because we're both massive fanboys of him at the moment, especially. So we'll make that point. We'll have that 6-hour long rant about how great Jericho is, and then we'll get it out of our system. I promise.
Yeah, that's coming soon.
Coming soon. Sorry,
so yeah,
I made you digress slightly there, Carl.
That's all right. So yeah, Pineapple Pete will be facing Chris Jericho later tonight. So nice little promo for that. We then get to see Matt Hardy and Kenny Omega take on Santana and Cruz, which again, just fantastic match. Omega got jumped as he was making his entrance by those guys. Then the Damascus version of Matt Hardy comes out and starts biting Santana on the hand and on the arm and everywhere else he can bite him. And then it kind of just reverts back into a normal tag match after that. But not too much to say about it, really. It was good quality. Hardy ended up picking up the win after Omega hit the V-trigger in the corner. And then Hardy followed up with a twist of fate off the top rope. But I don't know, just high quality matches. Santana and Cruz are a fantastic tag team. Hardy and Omega, to my knowledge, haven't worked together like a lot, but you wouldn't think it. I feel like the chemistry there.
I know, yeah, they work really well together, don't they? To be fair.
Yeah, and it's one of those, like, Hardy's been doing it for years, Omega's been doing it for years, so I think when you're both that good, it probably comes a bit easier. But yeah.
It's a real testament to them, though, because they've both been doing it for years, but in very different ways. Because Omega's sort of for a long time was pretty much exclusively New Japan, and it's a different environment out there. It's a different show to watch. Whereas Hardy's always been like WWE, TNA kind of guy. So it's a real testament to them that they can work so well together. Because although they're both veterans in the business, it's very different ends of the business as well.
Yeah, and I think together they put on a fantastic match, and Santana and Cruz continue to look really good, and they've got a lot of promise for the tag division, I think, for many years to come. We then see backstage Taz again interviewing Darby Allin. He said he owed him an apology off the back of last week because he kept bringing up how he lost to Cody. But then what's he do? He brings up again how he lost to Cody. He said the pin that Cody got was basic, and it's just basics of wrestling, and Darby should be aware of that, and Taz can help him. And then Darby says, I placed third place in an amateur wrestling competition, so I know what that pin is, and then walks off. Didn't really do a lot for either. I think, fortunately.
Taz has become the MVP of the show.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely getting those vibes. I don't know. Like, Darby doesn't need to be in these little skits. I don't really know what it's trying to achieve, unless it's going to lead to a match between Darby and Taz. It just, I don't know. It seems
the thing
weird.
with Darby, though, is his character is sort of based on mystique in some senses. The more we learn about him, the less mysterious and the less interested he is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he sounds like...
can't keep doing shit like this.
You don't want to hear the mysterious Darby Allin once placed third in a fucking amateur wrestling competition. Like,
This is the thing.
Why?
That does not help now.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't digging it. Thought it was a bit flat, to be fair.
Yeah.
Then we got another backstage segment. This time, Hikaru Shida was getting interviewed about her win and the fact that she's got like quite a big streak now. Then Nyla kind of comes up out of nowhere and says, "Oh, by the way, I got you a present." And twats her over there with a kendo stick, so kind of giving her a taste of her own medicine there.
A clear sign that Nyla's not mastered the art of gift giving.
Yeah, she could do working on that. Must be horrible around Christmas time.
Yeah, especially with kids.
Oh yeah, 100%. Little Timmy still got welts to this day. But yeah, I don't know. It was quite a nice little segment. I think it was. They then went on to announce that Double or Nothing that Shida will get an opportunity at Nyla's championship. So nice little build to that, really. Then this next match I thought was really well done, to be fair. So it was MJF versus a jobber by the name of Lee Johnson. And do you know what? MJF got the squash. And I was a massive fan of it. Like, I love MJF as a massive chicken shit heel who will do anything he can to win. He will cheat. He will, scratch. He will claw. He will steal. He will do whatever he needs to do to get that win. And it was just so fucking refreshing and unexpected to see him just twat someone. And it's like, he is this horrible little weasel of a heel. But at the same time, he's really good. And like just having a little squash match like this, just, I don't know, it just really...
No, I think it did the job perfectly. I think you're totally right, especially because so far what we've seen of MJF has been like, for the most, hiding behind Wardlow and stuff like that. And like you say, he plays the weasel very well, but it was a good reminder, and people need to be aware that he is a good wrestler. And it certainly, I think they've hit the right note. As much as I moan about squash matches, sometimes they're merited, and it's not like we see them. Like, it's not like MJF has been squashing people every week leading up to the inevitable match with Jungle Boy. He's had one squash match. Do you know what I mean? So I think that works really well.
Yeah, honestly, I was just so blown away by it because I just wasn't expecting it, and like just see him absolutely batter someone. It was just really refreshing, I think, to see that heels can get that kind of treatment. Who like chicken shit heels as well get that kind of treatment. It's not just like a Lance Archer. It's not just like a Brodie Lee. It's like someone like MJF can also see that. So it took me by surprise. But after the match as well, he then kind of said, to a little message to Jungle Boy that he's looking forward to their match. But said, he's been off nursing some very severe injuries, as we know. But, as a result of that, he's managed to accrue a little bit of ring rust. So he wants a tune-up match, and he's signed on to fight Marco Stunt next week. So do you know what, though? Bold prediction from me. We've seen Marco Stunt get absolutely twatted now for weeks and weeks and weeks. It would not surprise me to just see Marco Stunt pull up an upset here and just beat MJF, maybe with Jungle Boy's help or something. But I feel like the guy's long overdue a win. And I feel like MJF long overdue a loss. And I feel like it would make sense to have Marco Stunt go over Jungle Boy in this instance with the help of... did I say Marco over Jungle Boy? Marco over MJF with the help of Jungle Boy in this instance.
I think it does need the help of Jungle Boy to be... To not affect anything storyline wise, but I think you're quite right. I think that'd work well, and we can't keep seeing Marco lose. It's not fair.
No, I think it just add that extra bit of dimension because there's even more reason why MJF would want to get one over on Jungle Boy then, because he's got this perfect record that's now being besmirched by the fact.
It make that match even more personal.
Yeah,
and more
and to fucking Marco Stunt of all people, I don't know. I think if I was booking it, that's what I would do.
Yeah, I like it, Carl.
And then the next match was the much anticipated Jericho versus Pineapple Pete. And just everything about this was really good. Like Sammy Guevara, our friend, thanks again for the shout out. Sammy.
Damn right.
But he was hobbling to the ring in a neck brace, obviously, after he got, he told us in his video to us that he was, he's been working on getting better at dodging things after he got run over the previous week. And
the trick is never to run a straight line, I believe.
That's it. If only what's his face from Game of Thrones would have realised that. But it was just kind of funny, I think, to see, like, off the back of the shenanigans last week, to see him really sell it. Did he need the neck brace? Probably not. But it's like just true to his character that they kind of put it on him, and he was like really selling it and stuff. But so that kind of just put me in a good mood straight away. And then the match itself, I don't know, like Jericho just did a really good job again. Like, he really put Pete over because, Pineapple Pete got a really early advantage and started basically battering Jericho for most of the match. And you can see the shock on Jericho's face, like, oh my God, am I going to lose to Pineapple Pete? But then, swiftly ended up running into a Judas Effect elbow for Jericho to get the win. And I don't think anyone was thinking Pineapple Pete was going over Jericho, but he did what he set out to do, which was to give Pineapple Pete a little bit of credit and kind of put him over, but he's still going to take the win.
That's it. It would have been unrealistic for Pete to get the win, but like you say, did the job at him getting that offense in. It wasn't just a massive squash. He managed to get that. And you don't want pineapple squash. That's the thing.
Hey.
Hilarious. Sorry.
But yeah, so all in all, I thought it was really good. And then after the match, Jericho ended up cutting a promo challenging the Elite at Double or Nothing to the first ever Stadium Stampede match. So off the back of the shenanigans in the backstage brawl that they had a couple of weeks ago or whenever it was, they now want to take it to a full stadium.
Nice.
Which, is going to be full of shenanigans. It's going to be full of fun. So I'm quite excited for that one. And then Vanguard 1 shows up out of nowhere to accept the challenge on behalf of the Elite. And, Vanguard 1 had an opportunity at one point to join the Inner Circle. And now, instead, he gets smashed up by a baseball bat.
Poor Vanguard 1.
Well, it's been a good run. But obviously, much to the dismay of Matt Hardy, who comes down crying at the death of his friend Vanguard. So, let's pour one for
Vanguard. Vanguard 1. I'm sure Vanguard will make a show like. But...
Oh God, I'm sure he will. But yeah, just like typical kind of shenanigans that we come to see from Inner Circle, just entertaining always. Then we just got like a little small video package, just kind of hyping up for the TNT Championship. It's actually going to be presented by Mike Tyson. So quite a little bit of a coup that they've managed to get there.
It is.
Kind of present.
And you may disagree with me, Carl, but I've one little plea, Mike, if you're listening, just present the fucking title. Like, I don't need to see you square up with anyone, okay? Just present the title, please. Please, Mike.
Oh, he's definitely going to punch someone. Let's be honest. It's coming. But yeah, I don't know. Like, obviously, he's way past his prime. It's not like when Tyson was in the Austin and DX kind of feud, of many moons ago. But still, just add something, getting someone like Mike Tyson to present the belt. It's very similar to when UFC got The Rock to present the BMF championship, and Mike Tyson is way more past it than The Rock is, but still quite a big name for a growing company to get and add a bit of prestige to a brand new title. So I thought that was quite a nice little touch.
Oh yeah, no, I'm all for Mike being involved. It's one of them things that I think it's a little cliche now to have that, like, oh, the celebrities turned up and someone's not gonna like it. I don't know. It's overdone, but I'm all for Mike presenting the championship and being involved and them getting the rub from that name. But yeah, you just know that someone, like, is he going to end up hitting Jericho? I don't know how they do it because he's not involved in the TNT Championship, but is he going to end up hitting Jericho?
He's going to hit someone. 100%.
Anyway, tune into Double or Nothing to find out.
Can't even say for $9.99. I'll have to say for whatever it costs on Fight TV.
For whatever the amount is on Fight TV.
And then the main event of the evening was, again, another friend of ours, Christopher Daniels, taking on the hey Chris, taking on the Exalted One, Brodie Lee. It was a match I was really looking forward to be fair. Daniels can fucking go, man. Like, literally,
I don't think he's really, anyone who's only watched AEW and hasn't seen Daniels before probably won't appreciate that. But I think you followed him in TNA as well, didn't you, Carl?
Oh yeah, I've been a fan of it for years. Like, he's been TNA, he's been Ring of Honor. He did a lot of stuff over here in the UK as well.
I think he did some NXT stuff, didn't he? Or probably not NXT at the time, but he has been in WWE, however brief.
Yeah, I think he did a couple of like Velocity shows and stuff. I think he was just like enhancement talent, but he's definitely like paid his dues. You know what I mean? And the guy is just phenomenal. To be fair, he's a fantastic wrestler, and fair play to him as well. He could probably quite easily say, "Do you know what? I want a more prominent role. I want to be in the TNT title match, blah blah blah." But like, fair play to him and Kaz. They've kind of set up SCU, and they're making Scorpio Sky be the guy who's like the standout of that. So I feel like that again. There's some other guys who are really giving back, but this match itself I thought was really really well done. So Brodie Lee comes out with Moxley's belt because he stole it the previous week when he beat him down, and now he's basically asking to be declared as the world champion, which I thought was a nice thing.
Okay, this is one thing I've wanted to see this for years, right? Where they haven't actually had a match for it, but they've just took the belt, and what are they going to do about it? I've wanted to see that as a thing for a long time, and I like that. Like, what's he going to do about it? Like, yeah, I've got your belt. I like that, and it's obviously inevitably going to climax to those two in a match. But yeah, I'm enjoying the fact that they're doing that. It's amusing.
It's just different, isn't it? It's just like a
kind of in keeping with his character as well.
Yeah, because like, why would he? You know what I mean? Just wait for the opportunity. He's got the Dark Order. He's going to take what he wants. And last week he took the belt, and now he's asking to be declared as the world champ. So it's a massive heel move, and it's one that kind of resonates really well. Yeah. The match itself, so no surprise, Brodie kind of got the upper hand for most of the contest, but then kind of midpoint towards the end point of the match, Daniel starts to get like a really strong footing in it, but that's when the Dark Order kind of attempt to jump him. So SCU come out to try and make the save, and also Colt Cabana for some reason. Who knows?
He was there, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. But then, so Daniels, continues to get the upper hand a little bit. Hits the Angel's Wings, hits the best moonsault ever. But then Brodie obviously ends up hitting the Discus Lariat for the win. I just don't think we were expecting anything else. But then
no.
Moxley comes down to get his title back. Takes out most of the Dark Order, sort of strong showing from him. But then, Brodie and Ten, who is the chosen prophet of the Dark Order, end up retreating with the belt in tow. Moxley cuts a bit of a promo afterwards, just saying that you know, you don't disrespect him. You know, you can do it, you can beat him down, whatever, but you don't disrespect him. And Lee's going to pay for it. It's going to be a hailstorm of violence that awaits him, a double or nothing. And, you know, it's going to be a shame because he's going to find that his AEW career came to an end before it started. And, you know, I've been a little bit critical of Moxley and his promos and stuff. I was even critical of him earlier in the night, but I thought this was fine. It did the job, got it done. You know, he still didn't end up getting his belt back though, so he didn't exactly look like, you know, he really sought revenge. But
it's a little bit embarrassing, like if they keep it going too. As much as I do want to see it, and I think it was a good way to go and a good thing to do. Like it's like, yeah, don't get disrespected. It's like, yeah, you're really gonna have to do something about it pretty quick, or you're gonna fucking look stupid. But I'm all for this week. You know, let's build some suspense towards them going at it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I've never had as big a problem with Moxley as your good self, but I can see your points in the way they've been booking, or the way he's been booking himself. I don't quite.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I don't want him to like fail or to like do badly, but I just
you fucking do. I can see it in your eyes.
For whatever reason, no company can seem to book him in the way that I feel like he needs to be booked. He always ends up coming across as just a bit of an idiot.
Yeah. Did you? I don't really follow Ring of Honor, but did you catch him much in Ring of Honor? Was he kind of booked the same way there as well? People always refer to him like being much more edgy there, but
I don't know. I didn't even, yeah, I never even saw him in Ring of Honor, to be honest. Like the only stuff I saw of him, which was when they first signed him to WWE, was some of his like, you know, backyard fucking hardcore shiz that he was doing. So I basically saw a promo or two that he'd done and thought, okay, this guy can talk. But yeah, I don't know. Like for me, he's got everything. He just needs to hone in on who his character is, so he doesn't. It's like we've been saying in WWE. It's like everything Moxley says feels forced. He's meant to be this psycho or this lunatic or whatever, you know, whatever thing we're meant to believe. But just, I don't know. He just doesn't convey it in a believable way. So I just feel like he needs to stop pretending to be a character and just be himself. Like look at Drew. Drew is the best, you know, face or, you know, whatever in the business today, and that's because you get it, you buy it. He doesn't feel forced. And, you know, other than this week where he was coming out with maybe one too many fucking Claymore parties or Claymore counties or whatever the fuck he says that he's being fed, which is contrived, you know, on the whole he comes across as genuine, whereas Moxley on the whole comes across as trying to play some psychopath character. And it's just like, well, okay, fine, you're not a psychopath, and that's the character you want to play, but at least make it more believable.
No, I totally agree. I think I don't know if he either needs to change up his character or work out how to get that put across in a more believable way. But I'm not discrediting him. He's been good in AEW so far. Just probably not what I was expecting. I was expecting like, oh, Moxley, you know, Dean Ambrose gets to cut loose now. Let's see what he's really like, and it's not been much difference.
Yeah, I definitely don't think he's lived up to expectations yet. But no, I'm not counting him out or nothing. I do think he still can.
It's the ref's job, that is.
Yeah, but yeah, so that was Dynamite this week. All in all, was fine. It definitely wasn't a standout show for me. There wasn't enough in there to make me think like, oh my god, this was a fantastic episode. So for me, I still think it was the best show of the week. You know, I gave Raw a 1.5, NXT a 2. For me, Dynamite was a 2.5. Middle of the road, had some really good bits. Also had a bit of like meh filler, kind of, you know, nothing too exciting bits. So for me, middle of the road, still the best show of the week.
Yeah, okay. I will probably, it was the best show of the week. I'm a bit loath to give it a 3. I was leaning towards the 3. It was a good week. Probably not the best we've seen. I'm probably gonna have to land with you on a 2.5, Carl. I can't bring myself to give it a 3, but it deserves more than the other two got from me. So I'm with you on a 2.5 there, definitely.